On this date, 61 years ago, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas,
10-mile
Texas.
tour, followed by a sold-out luncheon. But he never made it past Elm Street as shots were fired at the motorcade. The president was taken to Parkland Hospital, where he died.
I was a 19-year-old student at the University of Arkansas, and I had just come out of the library, and I was on the library steps when I heard someone say something about John Kennedy being shot. Okay, I did go to Dallas one time, and I went to the museum where it's located on the Texas School Book Depository building, 6th floor, and I could sit there at that window and look out and see that it was only 90 yards, and it was a straight shot. So a lot of conspiracy theories have been driven by the fact that he couldn't have done that. Well, he shouldn't have been there because of his background. He's a court-martialed twice as far as Oswald, and had many more serious issues of his travel to Russia. So you can add those as conspiracy as to why he was allowed to be there. But in those days, we didn't have the internet and a lot of other things to catch someone or screen people like that. So that's the information I gathered because I was curious about how it happened. Well, I've used the We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel before, but it seemed like there's up and down on copyright from YouTube. Okay, shifting gears here, I would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And whether you're traveling or at home or with friends or family, it can be a lot of food, parades, and as we know, football's always taken over on Thanksgiving Day. But just want to wish all my friends and community as far as Parkinson's, particularly new friends with Parkinson's and disabilities. I have to give a special shout out to Bernie and Richard Artemani, who stopped by today. We have been friends for well over 40 years, and there they go in their black Mercedes, typical for Italians. Hi, I'm Herb Lair, and this podcast is going to be about fighting for your rights. I wanted to include an interview I did with Dr. George Ackerman. He has a PhD, but he also is an attorney. He's passed the bar, and I believe he lives in Florida. And I'll give a little bit of background history on him, but I also include some of the questions that he presented to me. And I think it'll give you a good idea, at least of my status, but also how people like Dr. Ackerman have been involved. In his case, he was a caregiver for his mother, and he had great love for his mother. And he's written a book, and he's also done many things at this point with the idea in mind of ending Parkinson's. So I wanted to do this because as we approach 2025, that's when the national plan to end Parkinson Act goes into effect. So I think it's a good idea to show the concern that people have and have done individually as well as a community. And again, he said we are now in the same community, and I understand that. I have a lot of new friends and other people that have come to be real close to me, and some of the older friends have not been as close because in some ways I think they remember as I was and deny sometimes the fact that what's been proven through I guess some of the tests and things that I've gone through, that I've got a lot of situations with neurological and even sometimes delusional Parkinson's. So I wanted to make sure that as I go through this, that point is still very clear.
Dr. George, can you tell us more about your background and the role it's played in shaping who you are today? I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. Today I reside in Florida. I do not believe I would be the man I am today or have had success if not for my mother, Sharon. Today, my journey brings me to the world of advocacy in memory of my mother, who struggled with Parkinson's disease. She had Parkinson's disease for 15 years, but it never started to affect primary life abilities significantly until around 2014. She could still function and spend her favorite day of the week, Sundays, with us in the backyard, blowing bubbles with her grandkids, eating the best meals we could find for that day while arguing with everyone about where to eat or what to eat. Those funny arguments I miss. Can you open up a bit about your work and career? We're big fans and we'd love for our community to learn more about your work. I have learned that dedication, hard work, and perseverance is the key to achieving in life, and you can reach your dreams if you never give up. Many days are not easy and challenging, but you must push through and achieve your desired end goal. I am a college professor in criminal justice, business, and law. I received my PhD from the School of Public Service Leadership, Capella University, my JD from the Shepherd Broad Law Center, Nova Southeastern University, and police certification from Miami-Dade College School of Justice. I currently focus everything I can on advocating for a cure for Parkinson's disease. Through a wide range of avenues and outreach activities, I have participated in numerous charity events, addressed community, governmental, and international groups, interviewed people living with Parkinson's, researched and advocated, given interviews, written about my experiences, and participated in and conducted seminars with plans for continued and additional activities. I also lead support groups on caregiving and loss. I founded www.togetherforsharon.com in memory of my mother, Sharon, to increase Parkinson's awareness and research toward a cure. My other interests include running charity 5Ks, basketball, and family time with his wife and 3 wonderful children. Let's say your best friend was visiting the area and you wanted to show them the best time ever. Where would you take them? Give us a little itinerary. Say it was a week-long trip. Where would you eat, drink, visit, hang out, etc.? I enjoy traveling to the Caribbean with my family. My favorite sport is basketball. Whether playing or watching, the National Basketball Association takes me away from life for a short time daily. I was a personal trainer in the past. Fitness and health mean a lot to me and is so essential for our mental health. As a caregiver, the one piece of advice I have, which I could not follow because I wanted to be there 24/7 for my mother, is always to take care of your health first, and it will help you be a better caregiver for your loved one. Shout Out is all about shouting out others who you feel deserve additional recognition and exposure. Who would you like to shout out? I want to shout out to the entire Parkinson's community worldwide. We love you, we support you, and I will never stop advocating for a Parkinson's disease cure until it is at all of our doorsteps. Website, www.togetherforsharon.com. Instagram, www.instagram.com/togetherforsharon/.linkedin, www.linkedin.com/n/George Ackerman PhD ESQ MBA 00871A82, Twitter, twitter.com/togetherforsha1, Facebook, www.facebook.com/togetherforsharon, 112020.YouTube, www.youtube.com/channel/UCBlueHawk Miginzu 5G.
Okay, Mr. Six was chosen for my interview picture.
List, an interview with Herb Blair, Finding Your Happy Place in PD Advocacy on November 20th, 2024. Biography. Founded a technology company in the Ozarks and took cable TV billing and management software system nationally and globally to over 50 countries. Please tell me a little about your background. I worked at a couple of large oil companies until returning home. Our daughter was born with birth defects impacting decision. Started Computer Service Bureau and software development company. Can you tell me more about your advocacy? I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2016, although tests in 2012 should have determined it. Clinical syndromes. Currently, strong evidence indicates the possibility of delusional thinking. Mixed jealousy, persecutory beliefs in Mr. Lair. Quite probably, these symptoms interweave with features of his personality syndrome. Given his disposition or background, these paranoid symptoms are likely to have intensified as a consequence of experiencing maltreatment from persons with whom he turns for support or security. He may feel abused by what he sees as betrayal, and his primary repressed resentments and suspicion may have been through previously adequate controls, servicing and taking shape as persecutory beliefs.
Persecutory beliefs. That has a little similarity to Donald Trump, doesn't it?
Battery and personality assessment to evaluate his current level of cognitive, psychological functioning. Cognitively, he exhibits several areas of mild cognitive impairment that would constitute a diagnosis of cognitive disorder knows. There is notable deficits of his ability to focus and concentrate, processing speed, and registering and retaining list items. He was in complete denial of depression and anxiety on the Beck inventories, but did endorse a level of anxiety on the McMy III. Also, the McMy III suggested the presence of narcissistic and paranoid personality traits.
Again, personality traits that can be tracked to Donald Trump.
Axis 1, Axis 2, Axis 3, Axis 4. Cognitive disorder knows, 294.9. Generalized anxiety disorder, 300.02. Histrionic and paranoid. Personality traits, atrial fibrillation, hypertension, marital discord. Recommendations. Individual therapy could prove beneficial in dealing and managing Mr. Lair's current indications of anxiety and likely depression. Once he makes progress in this area, couples therapy might prove beneficial as well. 2. Annual evaluations are indicated based on his family history of dementia and recurrence of many strokes in family members. Thank you for interesting referral. 14. Gene Chambers, PhD, clinical neuropsychologist, 9319 PHGC, CNWT, September 24th, 2012.
Although experts in Parkinson's, I didn't have tremors, so they missed the diagnosis.
Has neurological non-motor Parkinson's, including delusional actions. No tremors. What is your passion and how did you get involved in Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure? Since mine was lower body, I have been involved in several programs designed for balance and walking. My passion now is my podcast to work on speaking with intent and cognitive thinking in my interviews, making people with Parkinson's aware of the importance of staying active and involved. Taking action. What type of goals do individuals with Parkinson's have when seeing your advocacy? Remain cognitive, speak effectively, and retain mobility. I relate to people with disabilities in my conversations, staying away from technical language and more entertaining, informative, and motivating. What type of training and how long are the programs? I participate in rock-steady boxing, art, music, and culinary. All are ongoing. Many are provided by UAMs. University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences.
Here I am posed with gloves with fight in my rock-steady boxing.
What effect can your advocacy have on an individual with Parkinson's? I focus on education, entertainment, and motivation in my podcast with focus on people suffering depression, anxiety, and delusional thinking. What would you like to see as a future goal for your advocacy? Since the National Plan to End Parkinson's Act officially rolls out January 2025, I would like to get sponsors and advertisers to ensure that my podcasts and messages get to a bigger market.
Well, the national plan is to help increase funding for federal research, develop more effective ways for patients to get treatments and cures, address health disparities in diagnosis, treatment, and clinical trial participation.
What events do you participate in? Most are sponsored by UAMs, making public aware of programs for people with PD and the caregivers, including art, music, and culinary. How does this also assist the caregivers? Being involved with in-depth communications with people with PD. I have done a podcast with an experienced caregivers that explains how it must be done. A lot of personal attention, not just checking boxes.
Check out my podcast with Dr. Lyda Kreiner, and you'll see that she is very good at interacting with patients.
How can someone get in touch? What is your website? sites.google.com/site/current.youtube, https youtube.com/playlist, list equal top full of 0, S3, Yosave 7ZK7, UWX8 M7, ZernW Sans equal Toivon TMP on P7 MLQX, and Apple Podcasts. podcast.apple.com/us/podcast/finding your happy place layer /ID 1756188198.
What to expect as far as my website and as far as my YouTube channel. It's Finding Your Happy Place, and then if you go to Apple Podcasts, it's Finding Your Happy Place layer to give it differences.
Also become advocates for awareness. Support a podcast like mine to provide information. Subscribe. It's free. In your opinion, what is the key to effective advocacy? Being diagnosed early and developing a plan to maintain your health. The longer you let it go, the worse condition you will be in when you start maintenance. There's no cure. How can we better fundraise to support a cure for Parkinson's? Get familiar with National Plan to End Parkinson's Act. There will be many new ideas in 2025. Remember, for many, having better care early can be a lifesaver. A lot of acts will be directed to research. Be involved. What other activities do you undertake to help improve and support your daily living, e.g. exercise and alternative remedies? Go and do things outside your comfort zone. Why should people who don't have Parkinson's care about this? People are touched by friends and family who have PD. Also, finding out if you have PD early is your best way to fight it. Anyone may have it. Be prepared. You may be next. Have you had any family members or relatives affected by Parkinson's disease? I have an uncle who was diagnosed. He had tremors, and I do not. If you had one song that would tell us more about you or represent your life, which song would it be? We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
On the following, I get multiple copyright claims. Only be informed that I have no problem, but then again, I'm sure I'll get another restriction on this following. Covers my lifetime.
Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China
Following clip from NBC, some of the similar things apply to Parkinson that apply to Alzheimer's. Happy Thanksgiving to all my podcast viewers. Remember, subscribing is free and it's important for generating sponsors and advertisers.
And you probably picture symptoms like disorientation and memory loss.
Who are you?
But doctors say there are other early warning signs that may surprise you. And the earlier Alzheimer's can be diagnosed, the more treatments can help.
We can actually push back or delay the onset of dementia.
Again, early diagnosis, ditto for Parkinson's, in helping maintain and delay the onset.
Is also one of the most overlooked. New struggles with driving.
That ability for the different parts of the brain to talk to each other is impaired. And so decisions are not made as quickly, judgment is off a little bit.
Peter Lucchini and his wife Lynn say years before his Alzheimer's diagnosis, driving started to be challenging for him.
We're driving places and he's making a weird left turn or not interpreting the signs.
I just had to be more careful and more cautious. Things were not as easy to me.
Lynn says she thought he was just distracted with work. But then she noticed another change. She says during family visits, Peter would become withdrawn or sometimes combative.
He just sort of said, I can't follow the fast conversation. It's kind of like, come on, it's your family. They don't visit very often. Snap out of it.
But experts say personality changes in social situations can be an early warning sign of Alzheimer's.
There can be a reduction in social activities with the family or with the kids, in part because these things do require more attention and it's tiring and difficult to do.
Lynn says she knew something was really wrong when Peter started having trouble finding simple things like items in a drawer.
I asked Lynn, where is such and such? And she said, it's right there in front of you. I says, oh, now I see it.
He wouldn't see the peanut butter in the cabinet, right? And then I'd point it out and he's like, I'm an idiot.
Experts say a difficulty seeing things can be another early warning sign.
Our ability to effectively scan is actually degraded as Alzheimer's disease sets in. So it's not infrequent for somebody to complain, I sent him to the refrigerator to get the milk and he just couldn't find it and it was right there in front of him.
When Peter's vision was checked and came back normal, Lynn took him to a neurologist and shared her concerns. Only then was Peter correctly diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's.
I would still be beating myself up if she had not advocated for me. She raised the right flag to the neurologist.
And soon, early diagnosis may get a lot easier thanks to the incredible power of AI.
I think it really would be revolutionary.
Dr. David Jones runs the neurology AI program at the Mayo Clinic. Using AI, his team analyzed brainwave data from thousands of patients and isolated flaws in those with Alzheimer's. Now he wants to develop a head cap like this for people to use at home that would scan your brain waves for early signs of the disease.
How far away are you from being able to do that?
I would say anywhere from 5 to 10 years, could be less than that, but it's going to happen sometime soon.
Since his early diagnosis, Peter says medication has helped stabilize his symptoms, giving him precious extra time with family before Alzheimer's takes over.
It freed me up to move forward and live life more.
So courageous for Peter to share his story. You mentioned this medication that was helping stabilize his symptoms, and so many people think once you get that diagnosis, there's nothing you can do. But he's taking something. What is it?
Well, right now there aren't many treatments, Savannah, you're right, but there are things that you can do. For example, Peter is taking a drug to help with memory. He's also taking an antidepressant for mood. There's also an FDA-approved drug called Leqembi. We did a story on that a while back. That's given through an IV, and that can help delay more serious symptoms in the early stages. And Peter says he is considering that as well. But experts say that the real breakthrough is in using AI to diagnose patients early. So many people are in the early stages of Alzheimer's. They get misdiagnosed, and for years they go back and forth, and there aren't that many neurologists actually who can actually properly diagnose. But hopefully AI will change that, and then that will bring even better treatments to help delay the symptoms. So it's an exciting field. People want it to be quicker than it is, but AI has a lot of promise in it.
Feels like we're making strides. It really does feel like we're starting to make some strides, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Hopefully, crossing fingers.
Yes. Have a good weekend.
Okay, as we enter Thanksgiving week, I was going to catch up on a few new developments. You see my Longhorn cap and my burnt orange shirt, and I'm, of course, going into the fan transfer portal. I did that a couple of years ago with the TCU Horned Frogs and got them all the way to the finals, but they did get beat by Georgia. I think there's bigger and better things for the Longhorns. I considered Indiana, but I thought, well, I'll just go with the Longhorns, team I love to hate. Other things that's maybe going on that or might be of interest, I had a podcast, and that was about basically talking about, quitting to worry about Trump and love the bomb, and that kind of got knocked out. It was kind of funny because, as much things that goes on in the world these days, what happened there was just kind of crazy because I had, there was a thing there with Google and their algorithm, which had to do with political and advertising, and I don't know. I've kind of seen over the years that the Klan can put up bills.
Here's an example of freedom of speech.
1,000 people around Harrison, Arkansas, to get rid of a billboard on the south side of town. Today, that billboard is still up. Noah Tucker is live there to tell us why. Noah?
Lee, you can see the billboard here behind me, and every day, car after after car drives by. Now, this sign reads whiteprideradio.com, and several folks are wondering why this sign is still up.
I mean, I think it needs to be taken down.
Many people have seen it on social media, and it's one of the first things you see as you enter Harrison on northbound 65.
It doesn't reflect our community. It is not welcome in our community. We do not want it here.
I don't like it. It doesn't mean I have to love it, but there's things in this world that happen that we don't like anyway.
This sign was originally put up in 2013 and is one many feel doesn't reflect Harrison.
People here are nice. They're friendly. They're helpful.
I feel like it brings more of a negative impact to Harrison because the people here are not like that. It's a more of a positive community.
Harrison is a place that has faced racial issues for several years, and Lane Ragsdale has worked closely with the Harrison Task Force for Race Relations since it formed in 2003.
Throughout that entire time, our mission has been to promote the reality and the perception of Harrison as a warm and welcoming community.
Their efforts go a lot further than signs.
Sure that we invite multicultural groups into our community, that we monitor any situations that may come up, and then see if there's ways we can help.
Several similar signs used to reside in Harrison, but have since been taken down through efforts by the task force. This one remains due to a matter of land ownership.
The only one that is left is owned on a tiny parcel of land that is owned by the person who's putting up the sign. Government cannot tell them what they can put up on their billboard.
That person is Jason Robb, lawyer and relative to Thomas Robb, director of the Knights Party, also known as the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. While the sign stays, Ragsdale says Harrison has come a long way in recent decades, but these things can hold them back by altering their image.
Eyesore is a good word, and it is such a stain on our image that's out there. And our concern has always been that that image can create a reality.
Records show that this patch of land underneath the billboard is owned by Robb Law Firm, and now we reached out to the offices of Jason Robb today for comment without any luck. Reporting live in Harrison, I'm Noah Tucker.
Discount Dave's has the same.
Well, in further investigation and information sent to me, the property was bought through a loan through Arvest Bank, which is basically owned by the Waltons or Jim Walton of Walmart. And I guess they do what they want to do. But again, if you're going to fight racism, or you're going to be kind of pointing the finger at Harrison, and you got your second Walmart, which probably proved your concept, being held to blame, then that shows that, money speaks. And that's what happens when you try to do podcasts that people may have differences with. Words and signs, and Arvest Bank can loan money for their land, which is, again, the Waltons, Jim Walton. And no questions are asked. And then you worry about putting up a racist sign, and people say, well, they have rights, don't they? And then the minute you do something like this, you feel like who's going to be policing what you say? This is pretty just a situation where I wanted to talk about neurological and delusional and Parkinson's, which I think it's pretty certain that Trump has that. He won't take the 4-hour battery test. He takes a little bedside test that really doesn't prove anything. I show that in the other podcasts. But I'm going to continue on in this podcast and talk about people I've met, a particular person that his mother died of Parkinson's, and all the efforts he made to be a caregiver for her, and all the details here. I did an interview with him, and I think it's interesting. I wanted to include that interview and hit on a few of those facts. And again, it'll be something that people can see. And as we approach 2025, when the national plan to end Parkinson Act is implemented, where there's going to be trillions wasted, or whether there's actually going to be money well used. And again, my podcast is about caregivers and people who have concern and ways to do that without spending a lot of excess money. And again, I think one of the funny things about the budget being cut $2 trillion, and then we're entering into a year like we are in 2025 is I get a lot of things, and I don't watch any of the news, particularly the parts where it's commentary. I don't watch Fox. Fox paid $1 billion a few years ago to keep the fair and balanced title because they weren't, and that was all Rupert Murdoch, and he kind of cleaned out a few people, and then today I get things from I don't know, CNN or MSNBC, and I don't watch those programs. I've been focusing on regular news, and I get what I want off the internet, and I've even canceled a lot of what I consider mainstream media. I kind of stayed with them for a while, but I just recently canceled my subscription to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I found it was getting to be worthless and just a $39 a month expense, and any other publication that I paid for. I'm not paying for those any longer. Again, my podcast is free, and it probably has better information than they have, and it's probably more up to date. Somebody sent me a text or something and said they didn't know I was delusional, and I said, well, the test I took, which is about a 4-hour battery of tests back in 2012, said specifically I was.
XSI, clinical syndromes. Currently, strong evidence indicates the possibility of delusional thinking. Mixed jealousy, persecutory beliefs in
and gave a lot of other issues. It led to a lot of things as far as discord in a marriage, but the actual physical, determination was in 2016, and that was by Dr. Vermani at UMS. So I'll leave it at that, but I can tell you, I saw Brett Favre before he admitted to having it. And again, people don't want to admit it because then it puts them into a position where they might be stonewalled or they might be put out and ridiculed. And Trump will not admit it unless somebody forces a hand and he takes the battery of tests, and then he's going to fail it. And then that's the time when the VP will step in. And he's been missing in action for a lot of reasons, but he's kind of joined Ivanka and Melania and being outside the core group there with Trump while he's brought on Musk and other of his handlers to make decisions. And in the past, the VP has been always directly involved in the decision making of cabinet members. And you can tell in this case, he was made a sacrificial lamb to go out and try to save the Attorney General's, nomination, which I'm getting a bulletin now that he's withdrawing, which he obviously saw that they weren't going to just let it happen. And there may be some other people that are in the same boat. A lot of people that I know. I was once a member of the CIA, and the qualifications of being a top secret, and again, code word at that time because I had to work on a mainframe which had all the main information in it, different than today, as it could be segmented. But none of them, probably most of his cabinet wouldn't pass it because they've done so many things where they be subject to bribery, and no telling, the Russians and China would be going crazy because they already got enough things on Trump, money they've loaned him, and his only way out is eventually to be, and I hate to tell you this, but he's going to have his finger on the trigger of nuclear war, and he doesn't mind pulling that trigger. I mean, he doesn't care about anybody but himself, and he sees he's losing the battle, he'll be out of here, and he may take a lot of people with him. But that's just another case. So we'll get back to what we're doing now, and then we'll deal with that at some point if we
can ever make sure that it gets past the algorithms.
Well, here's the information I got. Of course, it's just a matter of being policed. I guess they're going to start keeping people out with strong negative opinions like myself. Okay, again, a reminder to subscribe to my podcast if you want to save money in 2025. Otherwise, there are going to be trillions misspent on Parkinson's.